who always looks great? It's Philadelphia's number one hockey beat. Look at this guy. Oh, man, handsome as hell. It is Philadelphia's number one hockey beat writer, Charlie O'Connor. Charlie, I guess we should start where we started the show. It's with Ivan Fedotov. I thought it was a mixed bag. He made some big saves. He also had some rough goals go in on him. His leash is going to be longer than one game, though, right?
Oh, yeah, of course. And we asked John Tortorella after the game for his evaluation of Fedotov's play, and he was pretty charitable. He said, look, he made some big saves, wasn't perfect, but overall for the first game, he came away relatively satisfied. I forget the exact word he used, but it certainly was not critical. He made it a point to not be critical of his goalie. I don't think Fedotov was terrible. I think the second goal allowed was bad. You can't let a distance goal without too much traffic go in. You can't. Beyond that, I mean, a lot of the goals, like the first goal was just a total fluke. It goes off the guy's shoulder. What are you going to do with that? The other ones, I guess, yeah, if you're a goalie, you're thinking like, I want to be able to stop everything. And he had a chance on a lot of them, but they weren't weak goals. It's just, you want your goalie to make some big saves at key moments. Fedotov, I thought, actually did make quite a few really big saves, though. The Flyers gave up a fair amount of chances. They spent a lot of time during this game on the penalty kill, and I thought Fedotov came up big on quite a few of those opportunities. So I don't think it was all bad. Obviously, if you look at the numbers, it's going to look bad, and I do think that second goal is absolutely one that he has to have. But I don't come away from this. Let me put it this way. I don't come away from this game thinking like, oh God, get Kolosov up here immediately. Like, number one, they're not going to do that. Like, I really do believe they're going to give Fedotov a very long look here. Number two, I don't think Fedotov was terrible in this game. He certainly could have been better, but I don't think this was like, to be a little mean, like, I don't think this was like Cal Peterson-esque.
Well, is that the metric that we're using for goaltending?
It's Philadelphia.
As long as you're better than Cal Peterson, we're all set.
But I'm happy to hear that that John Tortorella didn't do like even the Felix Sandstrom, like, yeah, we're not, yeah, like the throw him under the, trying not to throw him under the bus and then throw him under the bus accidentally or whatever he did there. Like, he is going to need, I brought up, Charlie, like, if I'm going to have an optimistic view of Fedotov, it's that we all like Sam Ersson now, right? Dude looks pretty legit. First 3 games last year, 833 save. No, way worse. 763 save percentage.
Yeah, like, he struggled in a big way in the early part of the year.
And then he had an 18-game stretch of 930. So, like, maybe it's just going to take a little bit for Ivan Fedotov because he's never really played in the NHL before. You mentioned the Huberdeau goal. I guess that counts. Like, I don't think there's a rule against it, right?
I guess the argument is, like, did they explain on the broadcast if you are theoretically about to shoulder a puck into the net? Like, I truly don't know.
That's what we were saying. Like, it's not a kick. It's not a hand pass. Like, it's not, you didn't bat it in. It was just like a weird, like, I don't know. I don't think that's technically illegal.
My assumption was that it was a legal play. Yeah, and when they went to review it, we all were kind of up in the press box thinking, what are they even reviewing? It clearly went in. It's not played with a high stick. Like, the only thing I can think of is maybe they looked at it to see if maybe it was a high stick, but it very clearly wasn't.
I just wondered, like, in soccer, like, a handball is like, it extends up your arm. Like, how far do we go here? But like, it's a goal. I just wanted to know what your thought was, because there was some consternation on Twitter, but when isn't there? So Cates is in tonight. Luchanko, they don't want him playing in the back-to-back. John Tortorella, I think I saw you tweet, like, he was like, oh no, this isn't, we just don't want him in the back-to-back. It's a lot early with the travel and everything. So Cates comes in, but Poehling kind of subs in as the 3C. Chuck, if it's going to be Luchanko back in, and then we're going to see what borderline bottom 6 center comes out for him, it's got to be Poehling, right?
I'm not expecting it. So I'll be honest with you, because
him.
Ryan Poehling. There's a reason why Ryan Poehling got jumped up into the top 9. The coaching staff really trusts Ryan Poehling. He's also a big part of that penalty kill. So no, I'm not expecting when Luchanko gets back in, and I expect he'll play on Tuesday against the Oilers. I'd be very surprised if this is a multiple game absence, because I don't think it's that John Tortorella didn't like Luchanko's game. Obviously, Luchanko had the blown coverage on the one goal, but I thought other than that, he was fine to good, somewhere in that range. So I really do think this was just let's not pile too much onto the kid. Now, I think that's sincere on their part. I do it's not that I wonder, it's just like they spent the entire camp talking about how good shape he's in and how he never gets tired. And it's like, and then you're not going to play him in the second game of a back-to-back because he's maybe tired, even though that was a big reason why he made the team, is because he never gets tired. I don't know. That struck me as maybe not the most forthright excuse or reasoning given publicly. I wonder if there's more, and I'm not saying like conspiracy theories. I'm just saying like, I wonder if there is a feeling of, let's drag out these 9 games a little bit longer so we can get more time with the team and more time to evaluate, behind closed doors, in practices, whatever, before we make the decision of whether we're sending it back or not. It's just, I didn't totally buy that. Well, we're worried if he's going to get tired at a back-to-back. Like, I don't know, man. I watched Jett Luchanko do that day one skate test. I don't think he was going to get tired in the second game of back-to-back.
Do 17-year-olds get tired ever? I don't think they do.
Charlie, I do have to ask a follow-up about Luchanko coming out, because not only does that open up like the 3C spot and we see how that moves around, he's on the second power play, and we joked last week or whenever the hell last time we were together. I feel like I haven't seen you in a month. There's 8 forwards on the power play. There's 9 guys in the top 9. Sean Couturier is the one forward not included. He doesn't get power play time tonight in the first 2 periods. Does get 25 seconds in the third, but I think that was in the 6-on-4. Why can't Sean Couturier? What does he have to do? Like, how do you exclude him from the power play when Luchanko's out and you put Poehling out there?
Yeah, I do think he got some time on the power play in the third period.
Yeah.
What I will say, though, is I think that Sean Couturier had a much better game tonight than he did in game one.
Yes.
He had some jump, but you also just saw the intelligence of his game, because, look, at this point, I think it's unknown what Sean Couturier we're going to get this year. Thus far, he's looked a bit slower than he did at the start of last year, I would say. Now, that could just be, him working his way back. He did have not a major. He claims it's minor, but he had a surgery in the summer. Maybe he's working his way back. Maybe that'll come as time goes and the pace goes up. We don't know. But what we do know is that Sean Couturier is an extremely intelligent hockey player. And I think what you saw tonight was, even if he's a little slower than he once was, he can still do a lot of really good things by being a really intelligent hockey player. Like, I know he picks up the secondary assist on the Farabee goal, the one with the great pass by Brink, and he deserves a secondary assist. He was the second guy to touch the puck. But what he doesn't get an assist on that play, which is a really pivotal part of that play, is that little stick lift. He drives the middle, and that little stick lift just as the puck's going through. Like, that's the kind of play that Sean Couturier has been making for over a decade, the kind of play that a lot of players wouldn't even think to make, and for him it's just second nature. And it was really good for me, at least, to see that version of Sean Couturier back, because last night I didn't see that guy enough, and tonight I did, and it made me feel better about where he stands right now with this team. Like, he's looking to find his role, I think. He obviously didn't spend much time tonight with Michkov. That line appears like not to be a thing, at least for now. So suddenly he's not the nominal 1C. Maybe tonight he kind of was the sort of the 3C. But tonight, you look at the numbers, he actually led the team. If you're going by Natural Stat Tricks metric, he led the team in 5-on-5 expected goal differential. He was at around 72.7%. So if this is Sean Couturier, at least for the next month or so, if this version of Sean Couturier is the one we get, I'm very satisfied. This is a quality NHL player.
So getting back to the power play a little bit, Chuck.
Okay.
In this extremely large sample size of 2 games, it looks like power play 2 is clicking a little bit better than power play 1. Is there anything that you think is the reason for that, or do you think it's the second game and maybe we should stop trying to analyze these things so soon?
I would lean more towards it being the second game because I do think power play 1 has shown flashes. Obviously, they finally get the goal late, which I believe was a 6-on-4, not a 6-on or not a 5-on-4, but still Michkov gets the point. They have had chances. Michkov and Konechny, especially on the power play, just seem like a tick off, where there's an alternate universe where they've scored 3 goals already on the power play, just the 2 of them setting each other up. Like, it would be one thing if that top unit wasn't even getting into the zone, or was turning the puck over immediately after getting set up because they had no idea what they're doing. It seems like most of the time they have a plan, and it also seems like Michkov and Konechny are so close to figuring out where each other are. Like, you could tell the goal, well, not the goal, the almost goal where Michkov finds Konechny and Konechny can't quite corral it. You could tell, like, Konechny was kind of like, yeah, that's on me, bro. Like, I got to find a way. And then when Konechny scores the goal, game's more or less over, probably no chance they're coming back. So they're not like jumping up and down celebrating, but Konechny immediately goes to get the puck. And part of that was just him being a team leader, sure. But I think part of that might have been like, yeah, you should have gotten that first point about 4 or 5 minutes ago, and we both know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was, and you could tell on the goal when they showed the replay, I thought I saw TK shaking his hand after he threw the puck into the bench, and he got slashed pretty good when he scored the goal, and it didn't matter. He just skated right over, picked it up. I'd like to see that. I said this to Kelly earlier, and I want to get a laugh out of you too, Chuck. We saw Farabee last night, TK tonight. Why is the Flyers' greatest rival through 120 minutes them versus open nets? Like, standing on the doorstep with the puck. And Mish had one, and Luchanko had one as well. Like, what? The floodgates are just going to open. It's early season variants. Like, come on, boys.
It's
in the net here.
It's the curse of Jeff Carter. That's what it is.
Yes, he is infected Owen Tippett. We were talking about that earlier as well.
One thing I did want to bring up, because this was probably the most interesting little tidbit we got out of the interviews of the individual players after the game. We interviewed Joel Farabee afterwards and asked him about just the 2 times that they tried to run Jamie Drysdale, where you had Tyson Forrester drops the gloves and gets in that fight, and then Blake Coleman goes after him, and then Joel tries to fight him. Farabee straight up said, he basically was like, he went out to Coleman, said, "You want to go?" Coleman said, "Yeah, I'll go." And then Farabee dropped the gloves, and then Coleman just skated over to the bench. And Farabee was like, "That was ridiculous. Like, I've never had anybody do that to me in my career." Like, he didn't use any choice words, but you could tell kind of what Joel Farabee was thinking about Blake Coleman in that moment of just like, man, that dude, yeah, he's not somebody I think highly of anymore, because he was a coward. Or he was trying, or I mean, what Blake Coleman probably was trying to do was he was probably trying to draw a penalty.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I give the officials credit for not falling for it, because they very easily could have given Farabee a penalty. He did drop his gloves, but like, come on, especially if the refs heard Blake Coleman say, "Yeah, let's go," and then blow him off. I mean, they can hear a lot more than obviously I can in the press box and you guys can watching game on television. If they knew that basically Blake Coleman punked him, then maybe the officials are like, "Nah, you don't deserve a penalty. Like, sorry."
No, absolutely. And I will say, as much as I like seeing, especially early season, listen, they're 1-1. Who cares? Tyson Forster's got to learn to protect himself a little bit if he's going to put himself in those situations. Cover up, kid. That's all.
Not the best fight, but he's obviously not a fighter. But that plays into the whole thing of why it's meaningful. And that's why, look, I'm not saying that, in every situation, if it's game 79 and you're in a tight playoff race and whatever, maybe you don't do that because you don't risk taking the penalty in a close game. In game number 2, when you're still trying to put together a team culture, I think it's important for Tyson, much as not a fighter, it's not his thing, to stick up for Jamie Drysdale there. I think it's a big thing to build that at the start of the season. And I'm even willing, even if you want to say that was one of the reasons why they lost the game, maybe, they obviously Sanheim takes kind of a weak penalty because Kadri really, really sold that broken stick thing. and then they get the 2-man advantage, they score, and maybe the Flyers never quite recover after that. They never get close enough. They get the 1 goal back, but then the third period's a mess. If you want to say that was a reason why they lost, sure, I maybe, but I still think Tyson Forrester did the right thing, because I'm willing to sacrifice a game in October for hopefully stronger team chemistry in February.
Makes you think maybe they needed Uncle Nick in the lineup tonight.
John Tortorella did say before the game he does want to get Nick Deslauriers in a game soon. So we shall see.
There we go. So Morgan Frost took that hit from Mackenzie Weegar and looked messy. He did not look good after that hit. And I was actually surprised that he came back in the third period. Did you guys get any update on him at all?
No updates, but he was walking around perfectly fine in the locker room after the game.
Oh, okay.
I thought that was a little overblown on Twitter, because I saw that about, oh man, Morgan Frost looks really injured.
Great.
I thought the first shift that he came back, he was flailing around a little bit. He fell down, and I that caught my eye. I thought in the third period, I thought he looked fine. Maybe a little bit slower than normal, but I thought that was a bit overblown by Twitter. I guess we'll see. They have a full day off tomorrow. Obviously, it was a back-to-back, so they're not going to skate tomorrow, but they will be skating in Calgary on Monday. I guess we'll see if there's any lingering effects after a day off. But, I saw Morgan walking around the room. He literally said goodbye to me right before I went into the room to do this. So it seems like he's okay, but I guess we'll see.
That's good news.
All right, Charlie. Before we say goodbye to you, we need Charlie O'Connor's 3 stars of the game. Hit us with star number 3.
Star number 3, I kind of went back and forth on Konechny or Farabee. I think I'm going to go with Farabee. Scores the goal, really nice play. He's kind of been banging on the door for the first 2 games. It was really nice to see him kind of break through. And I also honestly liked, I think what gives me the tiebreaker over Konechny, even though Konechny had 2 goals and Farabee only had the 1, it's the fact that Farabee stuck up for Drysdale. I like that. And I know he didn't actually end up fighting, but that's more on Blake Coleman than anything else. But I like the fact that that Joel Farabee, who, even though he's not really thought of as a fighter, he's had more fights in the NHL than a lot of people might realize. He drops the gloves more than people think he does, but he's obviously not a fighter. He's not a tough guy in the classic sense. But the fact that he, was willing to do that at the drop of a hat, because he felt like the Flames were, in my mind, very clearly targeting Jamie Drysdale in this game.
Yeah.
And that's something that Drysdale and the Flyers are going to have to figure out how to deal with, because either Drysdale straight up said, we interviewed him after the game too, he straight up said he has to be more aware. He has to not put himself in positions to take those hits. And that's true. But by the same token, even if he's not putting himself in dangerous positions, teams might still just try to take runs at him. And I don't want to see this guy get hurt. I want to see him have a full year of development. So that's something that the Flyers are going to have to figure out how they're going to prevent that, whether it's Drysdale, whether it's the team, I don't know. But in any case, I like the fact that Farabee, in addition to Forrester, was standing up for Drysdale, not a new teammate, but he's not, he hasn't been on this club for 5-6 years. He's relatively new. And it seems like everybody in that room has his back, and Joel Farabee certainly appears to be one of them.
I think if we get a couple of games of Nick Seeler and Drysdale together, maybe it'll slow down.
That's a fair point. That is a very good point.
Hit us with star number 2.
Yeah, star number 2, I'm going to go with Dustin Wolf. I thought he was really good in this game.
Yeah.
He was good.
The Flyers, and this is something that maybe we didn't talk enough about, at least since I've been on the show. Maybe you guys talked about. I think the Flyers did a lot of good things in this game, to be honest with you. I thought, in my opinion, it looked like in the third period, they ran out of gas a little bit. I think, second game of a back-to-back, you took all those penalties. You spent so much time killing penalties. You lost Tyson Forrester for 17 minutes, so everybody was skating a little bit more than normal. They just looked like they got worn down a bit in the third. First 2 periods, though, Flyers peppered the Flames net with shots. I mean, there were a lot of shots from distance, but they had quality chances too. They were getting to the slot and net front area. Dustin Wolf was really good in this game. And, there's a world where this game is a 6-6 game that goes into overtime if Dustin Wolf isn't as good as he was. But he was really good, I thought, in the first 2 periods, and he got second star for that reason.
And finally, star number 1.
Yeah, star number 1 is Jonathan Huberdeau. I mean, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points. He's a guy, honestly, I kind of root for him from afar, because I mean, I'm not necessarily wanting him to go crazy against the Flyers, but he's just a guy where, he was in the perfect spot for him in Florida, and then he gets up and traded, and now it just isn't really working in Calgary. So I do kind of, I'd like to see him do well. Don't necessarily love to see it happen against the Philadelphia Flyers, but he was really good tonight. And he's number one star in my book.
Chuck, wait, before we lose Chuck, I need you to do a journalism, Charles.
A journalism. Okay.
Yes. I need to know, speaking of Jonathan Huberdeau, what Matvei Michkov was chirping at him.
Oh yeah, they were real mad.
So mad.
Yeah, they were real mad.
He barely speaks English. What could he have said? I need to know. It looks so good.
Something tells me the first couple of words he's learning are the words that make other people mad. That's just my guess. That's just my guess.
TK, yeah.
All right. That is Philadelphia's number one hockey beat writer, Charlie O'Connor. He'll be back with us. I don't even know what the schedule is this week. We'll tweet it out. He's on this road trip. He's doing a great job. Thank you for joining us tonight, Chuck.
We all silly like the mayor.